Hello guys, welcome back. In the previous video we learned that how we can create a migration and we added these two columns in the pivot table. And now let's move to the next step. We are going to add a relationship. So let me close this out. Okay, and let me exit this from this. Okay, and minimize this terminal, and here we created this. So let me remove them, and we defined user. We are getting the first user and then returning is post, right? And now let me check that is any user is there in our database, and yes, we have one user. And in our post we don't have any post, so let me create some post here. It's a post. Okay, and yes, create a post, new post here, and it should be a Laravel post, and description should be Laravel post description. Status is this. Oh, it's throwing that unknown column. Yes, why it's throwing? Because let me go to the post controller here. So we added column id 1, so user id, and then in previous video we removed this user id. That's why it's throwing this error. So let me remove this from there and give it a refresh again, and it's still throwing this error. Why? Because of this one. Let me go there. In our creative we removed this. So status, we removed this status also. So let me remove this status also. Save this one, and oops, I misspelled it. Hit enter, and it's going to create, and yes, it's created this on there. So also remove this status because we added this for testing purposes. So let me remove this status for now. Okay, and let me remove this status and from there, and then also we are going to remove this from index page. Okay, where is the index page? And yes, need to remove this status from there, and status as well from there. Okay, save this one, give it a refresh, and hopefully everything is working. Yes, everything is working. Now the time is to we successfully created one post and we have one user in our database, right? And now the time is to implement the relationship. So let's close them. Okay, close this also, and we open this test URL. So let me open the test URL here. So it's a test, and it will throw the error. Why? Because of it's throwing post user id. It's finding the user id in the post table. So in our case we removed this, right? So let me remove the only user, so it will return the user, right? And yes, it's now returning the user. So let's go to the user model and implement the relationship. So let me search this user, and in the previous videos we implemented has one relation. So let me define the has one relationship, so you can get the pull from the GitHub and understand that how I implemented this, right? And I'm commenting this. Okay, let me make this comment, also make this comment. So now the time is to define the relationship, has many-to-many relationship. So then you need to define public function, and then in our for now it's also a post, it's a plural, right? And let's go to the next line, and here you need to type return this. Oops, return this, and here you need to define belongs to many, right? This is one is second, belongs to many, and the first parameter would be the model name. In our case it's a post model, and then you need to define the class here. So let me make this double colon, it's a class, and then the second parameter would be the name of your pivot table. In our case it's a post user, right? Save this one, and then if you are following the Laravel convention, then you don't need to mention the other keys like primary key and foreign key, right? So we can access this using this post, right? So let's go there, and for now it's not going to work. Why? Because we don't have any post id or user id in our pivot table. So let's add something in our pivot table. So how you can add the IDs in your, how you can add the record in your pivot table. So let's understand it. For now we are getting the first user from the database. So let me grab the first post also. So it's a post, and then you need to define the model name, post, find, okay, find or fail, oops, find or fail one, and then you need to, and now you need to mention the user instance here, and then here you need to call a helper method which is attach, and which thing you want to attach. You are attaching a user with the post, right? So let's define a post. We are getting single post and single user, so we have a single object of user and we are attaching it with this post. So it will add user ID and post ID in our database. So let me return something, it will return 1 or success. Okay, so let's go to the test and give it a refresh, and it says call to undefined function app user attach. We are getting this error. I know why it's getting this error. So if you are new to the Laravel, I can teach you that how you can find these this type of error solution, right? So if you are facing any error, so let's copy this error and go to the Google and Google it. Okay, and Stack Overflow having this answer of this question. So someone asked this question few years ago. So first you need to define the object, and then you need to call the relationship. In our case it's a post, and then you need to attach this. Okay, so let's go to the text editor, and in our case it's a we define the relationship. So let me show the relationship to you. Yes, this one, we define this post here. So you need to call this post here. So it's a post, and make this brackets, and then you need to attach. We are calling the user post, it's a plural. Okay, and then we are attaching a post with this user. So let's save this one and go here and give it a refresh, and yes, it's returned nothing. It means that it's successfully added. So let's go to the database and go to this post user table, and yes, we have one post ID and one user. So in our case we have one user and one post. So if you don't have any post, so it will not attach the user, it will throw error that you don't have any post, right? So that's it for this video. We successfully added entries in our table. So in the next video we will learn that how we can retrieve these posts from the database. So let's see you in the next video. Bye bye.